Hi, this is Dr. Pike again for LDR330. We're in week 6, and we're going to cover authority, power, and persuasion as part of chapter 12 of Effective Leadership by Ronald Humphrey. We're going to begin the chapter with what is power? And power is the ability of one person, the agent, to influence another person, the target. It's control over people. Control over rewards, benefits, and promotions, control over decisions, control over resources. It is important to know that power can be an intoxicating prospect. And there's a quote by Lord Acton that states, "Power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely." One needs to be mindful when they're placed into a position of power, not to abuse it. When we're moving on, the studies in the book show that a lack of power makes for a scramble for it. People exhibit aggression, insensitivity, and frustration about the lack of power. Even as a leader with power, we have to ask ourselves, who do we serve? And who are you accountable to? For those persons with a Christian worldview, we know who we're accountable to, and we know who we serve. And the people that are subordinates, or the people that are underneath us, are part of his people as well. So this is what we need to keep at the forefront as servant leaders. And I'll say it again. Power is intoxicating. This is a very important chapter, and it's one that you should be mindful of as you begin your rise to leadership. In power bases, we need to talk about the different power bases. So, reward power is control over raises in pay and benefits. Coercive power is dealing out punishments or perks. Legitimate power, the formal power awarded by the organization for consistent values. That means the same value of the organization. Expert power comes from having a special knowledge that makes one relevant. You may be a software engineer in a software engineering company that's on the cusp of some big breakthrough, and that expert status that you hold gives you a certain amount of leeway. Referent power has to do with looks, being attractive, charismatic, friendly, and likable. Now you're going to find this a lot in sales organizations. We also talk about facilitation power, providing social cooperation by altering environmental circumstances, having a bigger office, having a larger group of persons to network with. Opening things up will give you more facilitation power. Ecological power is indirectly influencing others through physical environment, technology, and organization of the workplace. Persuasion. Persuasion is all about approach. Rational persuasion is using facts and logic. Now, if you're screaming facts and logic to someone, they're going to be less apt to want to hear what you have to say on a subject, which leads us back to the approach. Consultation is just making suggestions to advance the mission positively. Inspirational appeals is part of emotionally arousing others through their own values and ideals. Collaboration is helped by rolling up your sleeves and becoming part of the task, whether it's completely cerebral or whether you're picking up boxes to help your subordinates move them around. Politics and diversity. We need to find out what motivates other people. Simply giving a directive doesn't mean that you're going to generate the buy-in to be able to get to the end goal or accomplish the mission that you set out for yourself and your subordinates. You want to interview and speak with. And to do that, you're going to have to network the like-minded. I want to know what works in this company, what makes them so successful. So you may contact a different person that occupies your same position in a different organization to find out what they do to motivate others. Power motivation differs across cultures. And with the world becoming more connected through e-commerce, through global policy, we need to better understand one another. And to do that, we need to be able to make those inroads to communication. Find out what makes an individual, without stereotyping, want to perform better from a different locale. Petty tyrants and abusive bosses. We began this chapter, this little chapter that could. This is probably the most important chapter in the book for me. You have to understand, and I think some people have been subjected to the petty tyrants that we're speaking about here. They are self-aggrandizers. They derive their importance by putting another person down. And they treat their subordinates in arbitrary, belittling, inconsiderate, and over-controlling manner. I'm certain that you have had an experience with a person of this type, and if you haven't, I pray that you don't. But this type of person is the person that you want to safeguard against. Because, as I said before, power can be intoxicating, and you can find yourself in this role of the petty tyrant, and you can be the one that has the negative impact on the organization through your subordinates' job satisfaction, their affective commitment, their wanting to stay to the company and retiring from there is what that's speaking about, their job performance, or they're sick, always out because they need the mental health day away from you. So do me a favor and really focus on this chapter as you read through and safeguard yourself against the things that are outlined in the case studies in this chapter. Let's get on to the put it into practice on pages 337 and 338. 1. Avoid prison. Don't be too greedy, don't abuse your power, and make subordinates do unethical things. And don't become a drug addict. And he's talking about the addictive quality of power. 2. Use the right amount of power. Give leaders and employees the right amount of power, not too much or too little. Leaders need the authority to take effective action. 3. Power doesn't always corrupt. Lack of power causes feelings of frustration, which can lead to aggression. High power, high status people often have better interpersonal sensitivity. 4. Bases of power. Use referent power, expert power, and reward power to create high employee performance. Legitimate power usually creates compliance, but not high levels of commitment. Coercion produces resistance. 5. Psychological empowerment. Use reward power and referent power to enhance your followers' psychological empowerment. Let them be the experts. 6. Be facilitative. Use facilitation power and ecological power to change the environment in a way that naturally guides behavior towards goal performance. Provide resources and change the environment to make desirable behaviors easier to perform. 7. Be persuasive. Use rational persuasion, consultation, inspirational appeals, and collaboration to gain compliance and improve the leader-member relationships. Ingratiation may also help, but pressure tactics usually backfire. 8. Attitudes and peer pressure. Influence attitudes and beliefs by providing facts. And don't forget to show that peers also support desired behaviors. 9. Use power with a purpose. The way you can achieve financial goals and societal goals. 10. Be politically skillful. Politically skillful leaders can help their teams be more effective and increase followers' feelings of empowerment and commitment. Political skill involves 1. Social astuteness. 2. Interpersonal influence. 3. Networking ability. And 4. Apparent sincerity. 11. Network your way to success and better leader membership relationships. 12. Power motivation. Recognize cultural differences in power motivation. Also, use your own power motivation to achieve socially worthwhile goals, not just to boss others around. 13. This is a very important one. Don't be a tyrant. Negative comments to subordinates may be more harmful than you think, and subordinates sometimes find ways to retaliate. And those are our 13 key takeaways from Chapter 12. I encourage you to look over this chapter again, to embody many of the great ideas that are presented here, and become a servant leader, one that doesn't try to hold sway or hold power over another. Rather, they do it for the betterment of everybody involved. Anyway, that's the end of our chapters this week. You have a lot of work to do. Your work has been fantastic, and I'll speak to you again next